Shalom, everybody. We are going to be discussing why the commandments are essential for salvation. Growing up in the Christian church, there were many things that I was taught that I now know today are simply not true. Although those in Christianity claim to be obedient to the Creator and followers of the Scriptures, one cannot deny the interwoven traditions of paganism in this religion. And many of the teachings from this religion directly contradict what the Scriptures say. And what are the Scriptures, you ask? Well, most people would say the Bible. Genesis to Revelation, that's the Scriptures. But I would suggest to you that the Scriptures only consist of Genesis to Malachi, or what people refer to as a quote-unquote the Old Testament. The New Testament, on the other hand, is only a compilation of what they call Gospels, letters, with only a little bit of prophecy, which is scattered throughout and mostly in the book of Revelation. So the reason I do not call the New Testament Scriptures is because of this fact, and also because of the fact that nowhere in the New Testament do you see the Most High speaking to anybody. And the New Testament itself even refers to the Scriptures. Everywhere where it's saying it is written, it's referring to passages in the Old Testament. Which makes sense because, let's say, hypothetically, you were living in the days of the ancient Romans. The only books you would have access to are the ones from the Old Testament, because during that time, no New Testament would have existed. So truly, the Scriptures can only be referring or talking about the Old Testament. And today, I see Christianity directly contradicting them. And one instance of that, where I see that as an issue, is about the commandments. As a Christian, you're told you can disregard these. The law is a curse, and that you can't keep all the commandments. You don't even need to keep the Big Ten, as Cash Flow Dollar says. Let's go through a few scriptures that show why the commandments were given and why they should be kept if you're striving to obey the one true Creator. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For Elohim shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So in this scripture, it's saying the whole matter, the whole existence of human beings is for us to fear the Most High and keep his commandments. You know, the Most High just wants our obedience, and he is going to look at all of our actions that we have done in our lifetime, and we're going to be judged by those actions that we've done. And if we were disobedient to him, or if we were obedient, we're going to be judged based on that. So our whole duty is to keep these commandments. But now let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. Now the whole chapter of Deuteronomy 28 is a good chapter to read because these are the blessings and curses that were professed by the Most High to be placed on Israel if they chose to keep his commandments or if they chose to be disobedient and not keep his commandments. And it really gets very descriptive in this chapter, just illustrating all the different things that could happen to them if they chose to be disobedient. And we can see that these curses that are spoken about are clearly visible in today's time upon a certain group of people. And also throughout history, these curses have been applied to the same people, the children of Israel. We've seen throughout captivities that they have not kept his commandments, and they've been judged by the Most High for that. So let's read some of these verses. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that Yahuwah thy Elohim will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So the Most High said he would bless us if we kept his commandments. We would be above all the nations of the earth. And that's how it was established to be in the beginning, that the children of Israel would guide the other nations to the Most High. We would be the leaders, and other nations could join with us in serving him. But we were supposed to be the examples, the role models for the nations of the earth. But we chose not to do that. But here it says, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kine, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Yahuwah shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahuwah thy Elohim, and walk in his ways. So you see, all those blessings that he professed would be bestowed upon us if we just chose to listen and keep his commandments, walk in his ways, be righteous before him. And why wouldn't you want to keep these commandments? I mean, if you read through the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, you see a lot of commandments that are really a blessing to you. You know, laws of cleanliness, laws of how you treat your neighbor. And on top of that, the Most High said he would give you all of this wealth if you chose to keep his commandments. And keep reading and you'll see the curses that would fall upon us if we chose to disregard his commandments. We can see that upon our people today, and that's why as a nation we're so divided, why we see all these different problems and issues that seem to be a generational thing perpetuated in our nation. It's because of these curses. And the only way that we can heal is if we come back to what the Most High gave to us in the beginning, his law. Now let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 through 8. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither Yahuwah thy Elohim hath driven thee, and thou shalt return unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then Yahuwah thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahuwah thy Elohim hath scattered thee. So, it says, after all these things have come upon you as a nation, all these blessings, all these cursings, if you return back to the Most High, if you call out to him and you keep his commandments, you strive to be obedient to him, then he is going to gather us from all the nations that we've been scattered to all across the world through the transatlantic slave trade and take us out of this oppression that we've been in. And Yahuwah thy Elohim will put these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahuwah, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. So we're going to see all these curses that were upon us be on our enemies if we return to him. So that's why it's important for us as a nation, and anybody else who wants to join us. These commandments are a blessing and will help us be redeemed from this captivity that we're in currently. Psalms chapter 19, verses 7 through 11. The law of Yahuwah is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahuwah is sure, making wise the simple. So straight up, it tells you, David goes in, he says, the law of Yahuwah is perfect. So forget all those people saying the law is a burden, the law is a curse. It says right here in the scriptures, the law of Yahuwah is perfect. The statutes of Yahuwah are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahuwah is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahuwah is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahuwah are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping them there is great reward. So like the scriptures keep saying, the commandments themselves are a blessing to you because they keep you living in a righteous lifestyle. Now let's turn to a few scriptures that are in prophecy. Isaiah chapter 66 verses 22 through 24. This is a scripture talking about the new heavens and the new earth, which has not happened yet. This prophecy is yet to be fulfilled. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith Yahuwah, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahuwah. This is talking about the Most High ruling. And he said all flesh is going to come to worship before him. From one Sabbath to another, from one new moon to another. So the Sabbath, that's a commandment in the 10 Commandments, actually, given to the children of Israel at Mount Sinai. So in the new heavens and new earth, we're still going to be keeping the Sabbath. But today we don't have to keep the Sabbath. Why are we going to keep them in the future, but we don't need to keep them now? And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring to all flesh. So those that are going to be disobedient to the Most High, they're going to face the judgment. And the Most High has always, told you. He gives you free choice. You can live your life however you want to. And we see people doing that today. But you will face the consequences, either good or bad, based on what choices you take. We can see in the beginning that Adam and Eve chose to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and now look at us today. Zechariah chapter 14 verses 14 through 21. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall the plague of the horse, and of the mule, and of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahuwah of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So here, from year to year, all the nations are going to come up and worship the Most High. And they're going to be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles, which, the Feast of Tabernacles, where are scriptures about that? In the Torah, in the law. And you can see here in the future that all the nations are going to be keeping this commandment. So again, why would we disregard the commandments now if we're going to be doing them in the future? Why would we say these are not important? But the Most High is going to give us, or the Most High is going to have us do this again in the future. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahuwah of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith Yahuwah will smite the heathen that shall not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. So again, here you're going to see judgment from the Most High. If you disregard his law. In that day there shall be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yahuwah, and in the pots in Yahuwah's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yahuwah of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seed therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of Yahuwah of hosts. So you read on there, we see sacrifices are even going to be reestablished. So that brings up a totally different topic, but yes, commandments are going to be kept in the future. So these are, some reasons, some good scriptures, and there's other scriptures that I will bring up, in future lessons. But the commandments are essential for our salvation because they're our lifestyle. It's what guides us. It's what, establishes our relationship with the Most High. And through the keeping of these, the Most High, He will bless us. Like it says in the scriptures, He will give us an abundance of wealth and blessings. So the commandments are very important, and we should be keeping them today. So I encourage you guys to read the scriptures, get into that Old Testament, start looking at some of those laws that you may have not read before in the Christian church. Shalom.